General Hospital will reveal exciting news on Thursday, June 5, 2025. First, Curtis had reached a breaking point that no amount of love or loyalty could mend. The weight of Portia's betrayals pressed down on him, suffocating any remnants of trust he once held. During what was meant to be a simple family gathering, the atmosphere thickened with tension as Curtis laid bare the depth of Portia's deceptions. The revelation that she had tampered with Heather's medical test results sent shockwaves through their lives, undermining not only the fragile balance of their relationship but also the very integrity of the hospital and the lives dependent on its care. To Curtis, this was more than a reckless mistake, it was a profound violation of ethical and personal boundaries that shattered the foundation of their marriage. What made the situation unbearably worse was Portia's involvement in a dangerous scheme involving ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, which she had provided to entrap Drew. This act of manipulation wasn't just a moment of poor judgment, it was a calculated move that placed Drew under Drew's control, effectively stripping him of his autonomy and freedom. Curtis viewed this as a betrayal of everything they once stood for: compassion, honesty, and respect. The realization that Portia was complicit in such a cruel plan left him grappling with a mixture of anger, hurt, and disbelief. It was as if the woman he had loved had transformed into a stranger whose choices endangered not only their family but the very lives of people they cared about. Faced with these harsh truths, Curtis made the painful decision to end their marriage. His declaration of intent to divorce was resolute, signaling an irrevocable break from the past. This announcement sent shockwaves through their close circle, especially affecting Trina, who found herself caught in the emotional crossfire. She was overwhelmed with disbelief and despair, unable to reconcile the woman she had known with the one now exposed by Curtis's revelations. For Trina, the idea of her parents separating was inconceivable, a catastrophic rupture that threatened to dismantle the family she depended on. Her fear and sadness reflected the deeper consequences of Portia's actions, which extended far beyond her own personal failings to fracture the bonds that held their family together. The fallout from Portia's actions rippled outward, creating an environment of distrust and turmoil. The once solid family unit now teetered on the brink of collapse, as each member struggled to come to terms with the new reality. Curtis's firm stance on divorce was not just a response to betrayal but a manifestation of his need for justice and healing. His words carried the finality of a man who had endured enough, refusing to allow the damage wrought by deceit to continue eroding his life and those he loved. The pain was palpable, as the emotional scars inflicted by Portia's choices ran deep, leaving behind a trail of broken relationships and shattered hopes. Ultimately, Portia's betrayals not only cost her the love and trust of her husband but also cast a long shadow over her future. The trust she had broken was not easily restored, and the damage to her family was profound and lasting. What remained was a painful reminder of how fragile relationships could be when built on lies and manipulation. The rupture served as a stark lesson in the consequences of deception, highlighting how one person's actions could unravel the lives of many. For Curtis, Trina, and those close to them, the path forward was uncertain, marked by grief but also a tentative hope for new beginnings beyond the wreckage of betrayal. Second, Sasha entered the courtroom feeling a storm of emotions swirling inside her, an intricate mix of determination, anxiety, and deep apprehension. The gravity of the custody battle between Michael and Willow loomed over the proceedings like a dark cloud, casting a shadow on every word spoken and every glance exchanged. Sasha understood the critical role she was about to play, not just as a supporter but as a crucial witness whose testimony could tip the scales in Michael's favor. The air was thick with tension, and the eyes of everyone present seemed to pierce through her, scrutinizing her every move, her every breath. Despite the pressure, she steeled herself, knowing that the future of a child depended on the strength and clarity of her voice in this hostile environment. As the questioning began, Rick's demeanor shifted from formal to sharply interrogative, his voice cutting through the courtroom like a blade. His relentless inquiries about the pregnancy pierced Sasha's defenses, forcing her to confront uncomfortable and painful realities. He raised doubts about the legitimacy of the unborn child and the nature of Michael's involvement, weaving insinuations that challenged not only the facts but also Sasha's integrity. Each question felt like an accusation, each pause a moment heavy with judgment. The cold scrutiny of the legal arena stripped away any illusion of safety or support, leaving Sasha exposed and vulnerable before a crowd eager to find fault. The emotional weight pressed down on her chest, making every breath a struggle as memories of past hardships mingled with the immediate pain of suspicion. Physically, the strain was undeniable. Sasha felt an aching in her abdomen, a visceral reminder of the life growing inside her and the precariousness of her current situation. The stress manifested not just in her mind but in sharp pangs that radiated through her body, a painful echo of the uncertainty surrounding the pregnancy. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the edges of the chair, fighting to maintain composure even as waves of nausea and dizziness threatened to overwhelm her. The courtroom's sterile atmosphere, with its cold lighting and unforgiving silence between questions, heightened her discomfort, making the ordeal feel endless and merciless. In that moment, Sasha's strength was tested beyond emotional endurance. It was a battle of physical survival intertwined with the fight for justice. Yet amid the turmoil, Sasha's resolve did not waver. Despite the fear and the pain, she summoned every ounce of courage and clarity she could muster. She knew that retreating into silence would only hand victory to those seeking to undermine Michael's claim and jeopardize the future of the child. Her voice, though sometimes trembling, carried the weight of truth and unwavering support for Michael. She recounted her experiences with as much honesty and detail as possible, standing firm against the probing questions and subtle attempts to discredit her. Each response was a deliberate act of defiance against the swirling doubts and accusations, a declaration that she would not be broken or silenced by the harsh realities of the courtroom battle. As the hearing progressed, the emotional intensity continued to mount, but Sasha found moments of clarity amid the chaos. She focused on the reason she was there. To protect a child caught in the crossfire of adult conflicts and to stand by Michael, who fought tirelessly to reclaim what was rightfully his. The courtroom, though a place of struggle and confrontation, also became a stage for Sasha's resilience and unwavering commitment. In the face of fear, pain, and relentless scrutiny, she emerged not just as a witness but as a beacon of hope, her courage a testament to the strength that lies within when everything else seems to crumble. The battle was far from over, but Sasha's presence and testimony marked a pivotal moment in the fight for justice and family. Third, Anna had been carrying a growing sense of unease for weeks, a nagging suspicion that something about Jocelyn and Vaughn's relationship was far from what it appeared on the surface. Unable to shake her concerns, she decided to confide in Jason, trusting him as an ally who could help unravel the tangled web she was beginning to uncover. As she shared her observations, Anna described the subtle but unmistakable signs that suggested Jocelyn's involvement with Brennan was more than coincidental. There were patterns in her behavior, clandestine meetings, and cryptic messages that all pointed to a deeper connection that demanded further investigation. Anna's intuition screamed that this was not just a matter of youthful romance or casual association. It was something far more complex and dangerous, and she was determined to get to the bottom of it before things spiraled out of control. Together, Anna and Jason began piecing together fragments of information that seemed to confirm her worst fears. Each new detail, whether it was a whispered conversation overheard in passing or an unexplained disappearance, deepened the mystery surrounding Jocelyn's true intentions and affiliations. The more they dug, the clearer it became that Jocelyn was entangled in secrets that could threaten not only those closest to her but also the fragile balance of power in their world. Anna's investigation revealed traces of covert activity and connections that stretched beyond ordinary boundaries, signaling the involvement of forces that were far more powerful and shadowy than anyone had imagined. It was a revelation that shook Anna to her core and intensified her resolve to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. What Anna did not know, however, was the extent of the storm she was about to unleash. Unbeknownst to her, Jocelyn had already crossed a threshold few were aware of. She had been recruited by the WSB, an elite intelligence agency operating in the shadows, mastering the art of deception and espionage. This revelation, hidden beneath layers of secrecy, meant that Jocelyn was no longer just a figure in a complicated personal drama but a key player in a dangerous game of intelligence and counterintelligence. Anna's pursuit of truth inadvertently threatened to expose operations that were meant to remain classified, placing her and those around her in unprecedented jeopardy. The stakes were suddenly raised to a level far beyond anything Anna had anticipated, turning her quiet investigation into a matter of life and death. The consequences of Anna's suspicions began to ripple outward, touching lives and alliances in ways she could never have predicted. As she pushed further, she found herself walking a precarious line between uncovering vital truths and becoming a target of those who would do anything to protect their secrets. The tension between her desire for justice and the dangerous reality of Jocelyn's secret life created a volatile dynamic, threatening to unravel relationships and endanger the fragile trust that held their world together. Anna's once straightforward mission had evolved into a high-stakes battle against unseen enemies, testing her courage, loyalty, and determination at every turn. The quiet moments of doubt had blossomed into a full-blown crisis, with far-reaching implications that would alter the course of many lives. Ultimately, Anna's discovery marked a turning point, a revelation that could change everything. The knowledge that Jocelyn was deeply embedded within the WSB transformed the narrative from one of suspicion and mystery into a complex saga of espionage, betrayal, and survival. Anna stood on the precipice of a dangerous truth, her investigation no longer just a quest for answers but a critical fight to protect those she cared about from forces beyond comprehension. The impending storm was not only a test of her resolve but a challenge to the very fabric of trust and loyalty that defined her relationships. In the shadows of secrecy and deception, Anna faced a daunting reality. The lines between friend and foe had blurred, and the consequences of her pursuit would ripple through their lives in ways none could foresee. Fourth, Willow wasted no time once she learned that Sasha was carrying Michael's child, a fact that struck her like a thunderbolt and ignited a fierce determination within her. Without hesitation, she reached out to Rick, concocting a calculated plan aimed at undermining Michael's claim to custody. Their objective was clear: to prevent Michael from gaining any legal rights over the child, ensuring that Sasha, and by extension Willow herself, would maintain control over the situation. This alliance between Willow and Rick was marked by cold strategy and ruthless ambition, as they explored every legal loophole and manipulated every opportunity to tip the scales in their favor. The tension between personal emotions and calculated maneuvers created a volatile mix that threatened to escalate the already bitter custody battle into a fierce war of wills. Into this intricate web of schemes stepped Drew, whose involvement complicated the picture in ways few could foresee. Drew had not merely joined the effort as a passive participant but had engaged in actions that bordered on the clandestine and morally ambiguous. His alliance with Willow was underscored by a shared willingness to blur ethical lines, their collaboration weaving a shadowy pattern of deception designed to outmaneuver Michael at every turn. Drew's tactics were subtle yet effective, involving covert operations and manipulative moves that sought to destabilize Michael's position. The partnership between Drew and Willow was emblematic of a dangerous convergence of motives. Each driven by personal stakes, yet united in their resolve to seize control, no matter the collateral damage. Together, Willow and Drew crafted a strategy that operated not only within the courtroom but also behind the scenes, employing a blend of psychological pressure, misinformation, and legal maneuvering. Their actions sent ripples through the community, sowing distrust and uncertainty among those who supported Michael. The undercurrents of rivalry and betrayal became increasingly apparent as the duo intensified their efforts, exploiting weaknesses and vulnerabilities in their opponents. Every calculated move was designed to create an advantage, eroding Michael's credibility and casting doubt on his suitability as a father. The stakes were raised to new heights, with the future of the child hanging precariously in the balance amid the escalating conflict. Amid the turmoil, Michael found himself besieged by forces intent on stripping him of his paternal rights, facing an adversary that was as relentless as it was cunning. Willow's determination, fueled by a mix of fear and resentment, combined with Drew's covert machinations, created a formidable challenge that tested Michael's resilience and resolve. The battle was no longer just about legal arguments but about navigating a minefield of emotional warfare and strategic deception. Michael's fight became a symbol of a deeper struggle for justice and family, where every action and reaction carried profound consequences. The intensity of the confrontation underscored the fragility of trust and the devastating impact of betrayal in a world where alliances shifted like quicksand. Ultimately, the unfolding saga of Willow, Drew, and Michael was a testament to the complexities of human relationships under pressure, where love, ambition, and desperation intertwined in a high-stakes game of power and survival. Willow's swift response to Sasha's pregnancy revealed a fierce protectiveness and a willingness to go to any lengths to secure her place in the unfolding drama. Drew's involvement added layers of intrigue and danger, turning the custody battle into a multifaceted conflict that challenged the boundaries of loyalty and morality. As the struggle continued, the lives of all involved were irrevocably changed, caught in a whirlwind of emotions and strategies that promised no easy resolutions, only the relentless pursuit of victory at any cost. Finally, Lucky was confronted with a harsh and unsettling truth that shattered his sense of trust and loyalty. The funds that Ace had entrusted to him were no longer safe. Alexis had cunningly seized control of the money and funneled it to Ava in a calculated effort to cover up Christina's grave wrongdoing. Christina's involvement in the accident that severely injured both Rick and Ava was a secret Alexis was desperate to keep hidden, fearing the devastating consequences if the truth ever came to light. This revelation weighed heavily on Lucky, who struggled to reconcile his faith in those close to him with the growing evidence of deceit and manipulation swirling around him. Alexis's fear was palpable as she confronted Lucky, her demeanor a mixture of anxiety and urgent pleading. She knew that if Lucky chose to expose the scheme, the fallout would be catastrophic, not only for Christina but for the fragile web of relationships that held their lives together. In a moment laden with tension, Alexis implored Lucky to remain silent, to guard the secret with unwavering discretion. Her pleas were not merely about protecting Christina, they were about preserving a fragile peace and preventing a chain reaction of betrayal and heartbreak that could unravel everything. The weight of this request placed Lucky in a moral crucible, forcing him to weigh his loyalty against his conscience and the pursuit of justice. The pressure on Lucky intensified as he grappled with the implications of keeping such a secret. Each passing day brought new reminders of the accident's consequences, the pain endured by Rick and Ava, the fractured trust among family and friends, and the looming threat of exposure that cast a shadow over every interaction. Lucky found himself isolated by the burden of knowledge, torn between his desire to protect those he cared about and the moral imperative to reveal the truth. The secrecy demanded by Alexis was suffocating, trapping him in a web of complicity that eroded his sense of self and forced him into a silent struggle against the growing tide of deception. Meanwhile, Alexis's actions set in motion a dangerous chain of events that threatened to spiral beyond anyone's control. By diverting the money and manipulating those around her, she created an environment rife with suspicion and fear. The lines between ally and adversary blurred as trust eroded and hidden agendas came to the fore. Lucky's silence became both a shield and a prison, protecting secrets that festered beneath the surface even as they corroded the foundations of their relationships. The precarious balance between truth and deception hung by a thread, threatening to snap with catastrophic consequences for everyone involved. In the end, Lucky faced an impossible choice, one that tested the very core of his character and loyalty. The knowledge of Alexis's betrayal and the concealment of Christina's role in the accident placed him at a crossroads between silence and truth. His decision would reverberate far beyond himself, shaping the future of those caught in the fallout and challenging the bonds that had once seemed unbreakable. In the tangled web woven by deceit and fear, Lucky's struggle embodied the painful complexities of love, loyalty, and justice, a battle fought not with weapons but with conscience and courage in the face of overwhelming odds.